what brings you to India, and what has been some of your engagement so far, and perhaps what you will have before you leave India?
Well, I'm here after a very interesting and important meeting among representatives of the IMEC initiative. So IMEC is the corridor which we would like to develop between India, the Middle East, and Europe. So it's an economic initiative, economic corridor, which was launched here in New Delhi. So it's good that we had here in this very city the first meeting among the special envoys. I'm one of them. I was here when the initiative was launched in September 23. I was with my Prime Minister, Giorgia Meloni, and we had a clear vision of a great opportunity for our countries, for our shared interests. And now we have to work. And today we are starting a new phase. I think it was, we had a very productive meeting under the leadership of our Indian colleagues. And I think this is the moment really to have a transition from a phase of conferences, interviews, and somehow public events to a more concrete phase of action. It's not easy. It's going to be a long-term program. It's complex, but it's could be a great opportunity because we see great perspectives of growth for all of us.
Ambassador, whom all did you meet so far in India?
Well, I had meetings with part of the administration, but especially with people in the National Security Council, the External Affairs Ministry, and I'm planning to meet other people today in order to better understand the importance of our partner India. Like I said, I was here in September 23, but this was at the margin of the G20, so very important event, and I was following my leader, Prime Minister Meloni, and I was also here in March 2023, and this was a very important bilateral visit because it was somehow a turning point in the relationship between our two countries, which is now so warm at national level and also at personal level between the two leaders.
Ambassador, how was the meeting with the Deputy NSA?
I think was very, very businesslike, productive, warm. I think we have exactly the same ideas. Now the challenge is how to transform ideas into facts. And we have to face big challenges in, of course, in the economic domain. It's very much about infrastructures. So this means we have to explain to, especially to the private sector, because we need to work together with the private sector. They will be the protagonists, that this project is going to be convenient for all. So they can put money, they can invest money, and they can be confident that there will be an important return. So there are financial challenges, there are practical infrastructural challenges. It involves several countries. So we all know that it's not going to be simple. The good aspect is that there is a shared confidence that maybe in 10 years, the relationship, the trade relationship between Europe and India could double. So there will be enough room to have opportunities for all. And on the other hand, the investments will have a good return, so it's worthwhile to commit ourselves on this project.
Ambassador, as a result of IMEC, you're saying?
Yes. I mean, IMEC, you know, it's the idea of IMEC was launched, I think, in order to answer to two exigencies. One is this differentiation, and the other is redundancy. So you need to be free from situations where you are under the condition that you have only one route, one interlocutor. So we need to have other possibilities. For instance, now we are witnessing big security challenges at the entrance of the Red Sea. And this is a vital passage for us. It's the connection between the Indian Ocean and the Mediterranean. Therefore, it is important to have another possibility. This is IMEC, so cutting the Arabian Peninsula from the Gulf to the Eastern Mediterranean. We know that in any case, Suez will continue to be the main route. It's more convenient. But having another route is an advantage. It's something important, interesting for all of us. And also we know that in any case, we need to have more routes, more possibilities, because the trade is growing.
And Mr. Talo, let me come back to the broader specifics. So it was born here in India on the sidelines of the G20 summit. What has been the broader progress on this project? I mean, I'll come to challenges later, but what has been some of the broader progress on this project so far?
Well, you know, it started with lots of hope, and you remember that it was also, and it is very much linked to the idea of having important political and economic results from the implementation of the Abraham Accords. So putting together all the countries of this Middle East region, including together Arab countries and Israel. Then after less than 1 month, there was the terrible attack against Israel of October 7. And this created the situation we are still living of, the tragedy of a war and so many victims. Therefore, things somehow were sleeping, were frozen. Now there is a renewed interest. We know that we have to be prepared. We know that we can do some homework in any case. And actually, we understand that at least between India and the Gulf, there's been a lot of progress. You have done a lot of work in order to improve the links between your country, which is growing very well. It's the largest country which is growing well, and the Gulf region, which is also so much dynamic and looking for differentiation also not only in partners but also in let's say in the thematic way of developing. So not only focusing on energy. So somehow the Gulf can be a hub for logistics, for transports between India and, let's say, all the Indo-Pacific region and Middle East and farther west Europe. The idea is really putting together the interests of these three areas: India, the Gulf, and let's say the Middle East at large, including Israel, and Europe. All these, including the US, because America has always, with all presidents, both Biden and now Trump, supported very strongly this initiative, which is consistent with the vision of the Abraham Accords.
But Ambassador, let me come back to the conflict that you mentioned, the Gaza, the conflict and the October 7 attack. Of course, this happened just a month after the initiative was announced here in New Delhi. So you did mention that it had an impact, but do you feel that the momentum is picking up now? And what role perhaps do you feel, what role do you see for India in this initiative? I mean, how do you look at India's role in this IMEC project?
Well, India is certainly crucial because it's a huge market. He's a huge producer, so on both aspects is very important. Then you know that IMEC is, let's say, a network of connectivity. I like to speak more about network than a corridor because it's more complicated than a one-way point-to-point link. And it's very much about trade, so of course, good exchange of goods, but also very much about energy and data. And India is a protagonist in all three sectors. So, of course, you are important as more and more as an industrial country, as a recipient market, but also as, let's say, a hub for technology. And therefore, from India, the connectivity of data, the digital connections, are very important. So we are linking India to Europe. And here together we can be really the main actors. You know that there is a cable called Blue Raman, which is going to connect Mumbai with Genoa, with the Italian harbor of Genoa in the Mediterranean, and then from Genoa all over Europe. This is crucial because data are practically the fuel of the 21st century. So it means giving power to our, let's say, data centers, for instance, giving more possibility, strength to our artificial intelligences, and to our technologies and economy at large. Then, of course, exchange of goods, I mentioned it, is going probably to double in 10 years. And energy. Energy is still absolutely necessary. Also for the digital economy, because data centers, they need a lot of energy. The future is going to be more and more decarbonized. So we had discussions about the possibility that India can produce more and more hydrogen, green hydrogen, and possibly not only for domestic consumption, but also to be exported. This is valid very much for the Gulf countries. They have a lot of energy, they have a lot of sun, wind, so they can produce. On the other hand, in Europe, we need energy, we don't produce enough. So there are common interest in this field. So energy, digital connectivity, and of course connectivity.
Professor, just a clarity on the doubling that you mentioned. The volume that you're mentioning is for which sector? I mean, the trade volume for India and the entire region you're mentioning? Or
yeah.
If you just give us a clarity, what
well,
do you mean by
this
doubling?
is what I heard. This is what some experts are forecasting. The trade exchange between India and the European Union.
Okay, India and EU, yes, I mentioned. Yes. Okay. Ambassador, let me come to the role of Italy now. One of these EU signatories, which is part of this project, you are the special envoy for Italy. What role do you see, or what role perhaps do you see Italy can play going forward in this project?
Well, first of all, we have such a very good relationship bilaterally. Then Italy also has a very good relationship with the Middle East countries, all of them. Then, of course, we are part of the European Union. And within the European Union, together with the other signatories, so France, Germany, and the European Commission, we are working, let's say, as Team Europe, so in a coordinated way. So together we can work very well with a very constructive spirit. Then Italy is in this group, let's say, the main Mediterranean country with a large cost, and is the country, in effect, which has the largest number of important harbors in the Mediterranean. So, of course, we think we can be the arrival or departure point in hub in Europe, and while India is on the other extreme. So, and between, of course, there is the Middle East. We are proposing, for instance, the harbor of Trieste. Trieste port can be an ideal hub for the connection between India and Europe for IMEC. This is also because of a very simple reason. If you look at the map, you will see that Trieste is the northernmost port in all the Mediterranean Sea, and is also central. So from Trieste, you are very close, you are in the closest possible position to reach, let's say, the economic heartland of Europe. Germany, of course, all Central Eastern Europe, Northern Italy. And there is another important advantage. From Trieste, you can reach two other seas, the Baltic Sea, north, and the Black Sea, east. So this is linked also to the so-called Three Seas Initiative, so a grouping of countries in Central Eastern Europe, which are more and more coordinating when they deal with connectivity, and they need to have access, let's say, to the open seas, to the oceans, especially to the Indo-Pacific, where more and more is the center of the economic activities all over the world. So Trieste can be somehow hub between the Indo-Pacific entering into the Mediterranean and the heart of Europe.
But Ambassador Talo, France also is pitching to have Marseille, perhaps. So will there be two terminals? Is there a finality on that, or is it still a work in progress?
Well, I think that we need to have several terminals. Actually, I understand that in India there might be several ports.
Mundra, Mumbai, we don't know yet.
Yes, I understood maybe 4, something like this. Same could be in the Gulf. One can have more than one port in the United Arab Emirates. One can have also a hub in Saudi Arabia, and who knows, maybe others. So it's normal that there will be several terminals, and this is very much up to the market. Marseille can be more convenient, of course, to reach France. And Trieste, and let's say all the Italian port system, because like I said, Italy has a huge number, has at least 14 main ports. So they are very diversified. So we offer a system, not only one city. We have Trieste as a possible principal hub. We have other harbors, I remember from Ancona to Naples or Genoa, of course, which is the largest one. And we can work very well with Marseille. We are actually working, like I said, with the spirit of Team Europe.
Ambassador, I want to go back to the conflict. You know, this project is also being shaped at a time of great uncertainty and volatility. You're seeing it in Europe, the conflict still stretching. Then the Middle East, West Asia, where we saw recently the 12-day conflict between Israel and Iran. Of course, the Gaza conflict still stretches on. I want to ask this in two parts. Do you feel that in this time of uncertainty, this project can somehow both be a stabilizing factor and yet at the same time be also impacted by it? And what role do you believe that G7 members like Italy, I mean, you have 3 G7 members here, US, Italy, and France, as part of the IMEC initiative, what role perhaps the G7 members can play using their leverage to lend it sort of more predictability to the project?
I would say that especially in times of volatility, of uncertainty, we need projects like this. We need to have differentiation. We need to be ready to play in different grounds. So not to be conditioned only by one route, by one interlocutor. It can happen because of conflicts, but also because of, let's say, incidents. Remember when a ship was blocking the canal, the Suez Canal, no? So the more options we have, the better. Yes, we are living difficult times. We can say that definitely globalization is no more the same it used to be, but still we cannot disinvent it. We are still living in a time of great interdependence. So we need to be, on one hand, not too much dependent from any option. On the other hand, we need to live in a system of interdependence.
So will IMEC make a better world, Ambassador?
Somehow, yes. Why not? Can make a better world in a way that for our countries, for our peoples, there will be opportunities of having more jobs, to having a richer economy, and also better relations, not only among us, we are already good friends,
Bilaterally, yeah.
but also in a region of conflicts. So I would use an expression which was used by Prime Minister of Israel, the late Prime Minister and President Peres. He said that one should transition from the startup nation to the startup region. So the idea is that you cannot have a real security and peace when only one nation is rich. We need that all the region grows, and of course innovation can somehow be the lead for this change for the better. We are seeing already this in India. The Gulf countries are also important protagonists, actors in innovation. We can do it all together, and this will benefit also countries which have more problems. So this can somehow benefit also a peace process. I don't...
You believe IMEC can contribute to peace process?
Yes, why not? I mean, it's not that because of IMEC you have the solution. It's not the solution, but can give a contribution. So this can be something, but in general terms, I think living together, India, the Middle East, and at least Italy and the Mediterranean countries in a same region, which I like to call the Indo-Mediterranean region, we have a common interest that this is an area of growing prosperity, where, for instance, navigation and trade is free and open. Of course, the G7 countries can offer a contribution. There are, we have 4 actually members of the group which are part of the initiative, because 3 Europeans plus the Commission, so Germany, Italy, and France, plus Commission, plus the United States. So, of course, there is a strong push from the European Commission. Furthermore, I think it's important to take into account of the role of the European Union with its Global Gateway initiative. So Global Gateway is really, by definition, a global endeavor focusing on infrastructures. So the idea is that IMEC can be put under the umbrella of the Global Gateway. And here I also would like to underline that under the same umbrella, there are other initiatives. One is really an infrastructural, mainly an infrastructural one, and is the Lobito Corridor in Africa. And speaking again about Africa, there is the Piano Mattei, so the Mattei Plan, which is the big Italian initiative, in order to strengthen a partnership among equals and not predatory between Italy and the African countries. I think that we have a lot of common interest with India, but also with the Gulf countries, to work with Africa, especially Eastern Africa, where there is a tradition, there is an important and established presence of India and also Italy. So we can partner with African countries, which are actually part of the Indo-Pacific. Very often one forget that Eastern Africa is part of the Indo-Pacific, which is seen as an area, a very dynamic area, an area of growth. But still, we know the problems of Africa. We should more and more consider Africa as a land of hope, a land of opportunity rather than a land of problems. And we can, together, we can work on the opportunities, seize the opportunities.
So we're running short time, so we just a very quick question. We'll expect you to give very quick answers. What is your view of the Belt and Road Initiative of China and the fact that Italy did sign up for it in, I think, in 2019, and it pulled out of the project, and now IMEC it's playing a very critical role. So how does Italy look at the project of the BRI, and do you feel that IMEC could be an answer to BRI?
It's another project. They are different by nature. The members are different. So I don't want to, I don't like the idea that to present IMEC as something against. It's something for us, for our partners, for our peoples, and then there can be other initiatives.
Okay. Marcel, I want to just think on bilateral ties. Where do you see India-Italy ties today stand? I mean, there has been a lot of momentum with the meeting between the two prime ministers. The last being, of course, I think in Puglia on the G7 summit sidelines. So where do you see the ties? Is it on upward trajectory?
Well, the personal relationship is very important. Let's say there is a chemistry. And this is what I've seen. I'm very happy and proud that I witnessed the very first meeting and all how this relationship is increasing. Then, of course, there is the potential. I mean, it was strange that we didn't have such a strong relationship before. Now we corrected this strange situation, but not only. We are building a very strong one. It's really a strategic partnership.
And we have a joint action plan also.
With the action.
Unveiled last November.
Exactly. So I think there is a notion of opportunities. So let's work together.